SpaceX keeps releasing new videos of the recent Starship flight test, with the most recent edition being a video of the booster. Here we get a close-up tracking shot as the booster ignites specific engines to initially slow it down and then eventually enter a hover before dropping into the water. Notably, this booster was reused and had previously flown back on Flight 8 in March. It was caught by the tower, refurbished and upgraded, and then tested and readied for the most recent launch. Here I'll go more in depth into the new video, the Raptor ignition sequence, the state of the booster, and more. While the video is only 22 seconds long, it showcases a bunch of unique aspects of the mission and flight profile in particular. It starts right after engine ignition, getting rid of the majority of remaining speed before coming to a hover. It stays in place for about 5 seconds, still high in the air, before the final Raptor engines cut off and it falls into the water. Right as the bottom of the booster impacts the ocean, the video cuts away. Going back to the start, there's a lot to highlight, especially when paired with onboard telemetry. What's not clear from this video is how fast the booster is traveling leading up to engine ignition. On the official live stream, only about 5 seconds before the engines light, the booster is still traveling over 1,400 kilometers an hour at an altitude of 4.5 kilometers. It scrubs off a bit more speed in those 5 seconds, but at the time of engine ignition, it's still traveling extremely fast, close to 1,000 kilometers an hour. With so much remaining speed, SpaceX lights 13 of its Raptor engines. This includes the entire middle ring, along with the center 3. The sequence lasts about 6 seconds, but gets rid of the majority of the booster's speed. On Flight 11, it then transitions from 13 engines to 5, the 3 center and 2 engines in the middle ring, one on either side. From here, it then cuts off those 2 middle ring engines, leaving just the center 3. With all that speed gone, the 3 remaining Raptor engines are enough to have the booster hover in the air. Interestingly, the specific Raptor engine hover sequence we saw was unique to this flight. The company wanted to try a new configuration of engines that would provide data for the next generation of boosters. Specifically, the planned baseline for the V3 Super Heavy is to use 5 engines during this section of the burn in order to help fine-tune the booster's path and add additional redundancy for spontaneous engine shutdowns. In other words, on future Starship flights, SpaceX wants to have more engines running so that in the event one goes out, the remaining 4, for example, could compensate and keep the booster in the correct position. In past Starship test flights, the booster went from 13 engines firing down to just 3. With the booster designed to be caught by the launch tower, its ability to hover in place and also have both redundant and accurate engine control is especially important. Focusing back on the video, the booster looks to be in very good condition, without any noticeable damage. That's worth pointing out because this is the second time this booster is flown, and also the first reused Super Heavy to fully complete its mission profile. For context, the first time SpaceX ever tried reusing a Super Heavy booster was back on Flight 9, which was in May. During that test, the booster successfully lifted off and even completed its boost back burn. However, during engine ignition, as it was hurtling towards the water, it exploded. On that flight, they were trying a more aggressive angle of attack for its return, which likely contributed to the loss of the booster, but it's worth highlighting. In this case, even with the booster having flown before, it completed each of its mission milestones as planned. Between when this booster was caught and its launch a few days ago, SpaceX worked to refurbish and prepare it. They mentioned that it featured 24 flight-proven engines. This means that they replaced 9 of the engines, but the majority of the 33 had flown before. In a lot of ways, Raptor engines are core to the Starship program, so their ability to not only perform on a launch, but also fly many times is what the company is aiming for. On Flight 11, another interesting aspect of the booster's landing had to do with one specific Raptor engine. Looking at the official live stream, right after stage separation, the booster is meant to ignite 13 engines as part of its boost back burn. When you look at the provided telemetry, you can see one missing engine. This is confirmed by the camera feed from the ship, where you can clearly see one of the middle ring Raptor engines not firing. The booster losing an engine here or there has been seen before and isn't a huge deal thanks to the number of engines. The aspect related to this that's worth pointing out happens a few minutes later. When the booster ignites those same 13 engines again, a part of the landing burn, the engine that had issues and didn't light previously did this time. In past Starship launches, we've seen engines fail, and usually, when they're meant to light again for a different mission milestone, they still don't work. This time, that wasn't the case, which is a pretty big deal for the company. SpaceX even made a note of this in their official post-launch statement. They were quoted saying, "Under the same angle of attack tested on the previous flight, the booster descended until successfully igniting all 13 planned engines, including one that did not relight during the boost back burn, for the high-thrust portion of the landing burn." The booster is designed to complete its mission even without all of its engines, but the ability for issues to resolve themselves can help a lot. Going back to the new video, we can also tell the booster was accurate based on the pre-positioned camera. Teams were clearly ready and had an idea of exactly where it would be coming down, along with its final impact spot. We've seen SpaceX catch the booster a few times, but this flight included a more aggressive angle of attack. Even with those changes, it looks like it ended up where they were planning. One of the only other times we got a video similar to this was back on Flight 4. In that case, a camera on a buoy not far from the booster showed it ignite its engines, fly through the clouds, and slow down until it made contact with the water and tipped over. Comparing the two, SpaceX has come a long way in controlling the booster, whether that be its entry angle, the hover, or engine capabilities. In order to save propellant, the company has been working with the hot stage ring in what they call a deterministic flip. During hot staging, the upper stage ignites its engines while still attached to the booster. On the last few flights, the company has been using the upper stage's exhaust to choose what direction the booster flips. On the Flight 11 livestream, you can see the booster flip right back toward the launch site, which is the direction it'll soon head in. Zooming in on the hot stage ring, it's positioned between the two stages and gives room for the upper stage's exhaust to escape. In regard to the flip, you can see certain block sections. The exhaust pushes on these spots, and then SpaceX can pick what direction the booster flips in. In past launches, they pointed out that this process was basically random. This meant the booster would sometimes flip in inefficient ways, which requires it to use more propellant on its trip back to the launch site. Now that they control it, it saves more propellant, increasing the vehicle's payload capacity. Not too long from now in the future, a lot of Starship is set to change. For example, the hot stage ring is currently expendable. The new one will be permanently fixed to the booster, and also a lot more open than the current design. That should help relieve some of the stress, if any, both engines and various components are experiencing when all 6 Raptor engines start firing in a somewhat enclosed space. The current design has always been a temporary solution, as the goal is to make the entire vehicle reusable. This should not only save weight, but allow the company to catch a booster and then place a ship on the existing hot stage ring. Other big booster-related changes include the removal of 1 grid fin, leaving just 3. Also, we can expect to see Raptor 3 engines for the first time, which is significant. On the recent video from SpaceX, one thing that's very clear is the stress and heat those engines have to endure. Between re-entry, trapped gases, etc., SpaceX has to install very large and heavy heat shielding. When talking about Raptor 3, Musk was quoted saying, "Raptor 3 is designed to require no base heat shield, saving a lot of mass on the bottom and actually improving reliability. So if there is, for example, a small fuel leak from the Raptor engine, it will simply leak into the existing flaming plasma and not really matter, whereas a fuel leak when the engines are contained in a box is a very scary thing," he said. All things to expect when Starship V3 is eventually on the pad. Just a few days after Flight 11, SpaceX released even more video, this time of the booster slowing down, coming to a hover before dropping into the water. Early next year, we can expect the next generation of Starship to be working through testing and preparing for the first flight of V3. We will have to wait and see how it progresses and the impact it has on the space industry. Thank you very much for watching.